it to go in, and it's not a kill.
Well, we are going to be going to Warhead Junction for our second map between these two. Tetra, what do you think about eStar for this map? I mean, considering Tempo Storm picked this one, does eStar yet have more aces up their sleeve?
It's a more common map in general in China than some of the other regions. They do seem a bit more keen on it. It is a favorite of CE, the team to beat China, so they have lost to a couple strategies on this map in the past. But that's stuff you can learn from, so potentially more surprises, especially if they decide to maybe duplicate some sneaky strategies from their counterparts.
That could going to be the first ban to start things off, Jay How?
I'd say that their last composition could also conceivably work on this map.
Yeah. I mean, that's also the inherent threat in it, isn't it? That's what they banned last game. They went into Iliaba. It's a big map again.
Banned a hacker again as well. Yeah. They are leading into it.
That's why. And Tempo Storm last game they banned Tyrael. Now they're thinking of something else.
Oh, that's a good consideration. The memories are there.
They're thinking about Illidan, they're thinking about Genji, they're thinking about Avatar.
Yeah.
You just want to maybe remove Abba?
Yeah, he's the empowerer.
There's a lot of enablers. I think they're onto the right track if they want to avoid a last game scenario. Either Illidan or Genji can fulfill that role.
It's just getting, every single game that passes by, it's getting increasingly more difficult to ban out eStar. It's actually, now that I think about it, just impossible.
Do you focus ban Xing C? Uh-oh, we're dying to Illidan. Do you ban out the Illidan? Uh-oh, we're still dying to Xing C again. And now there's a Genji too. Well, it's so hard to deal with.
For what it's worth, I think it's the correct ban by Tempo Storm. They learned well from last game.
With second pick though, I wonder, so this is a battleground where Tracer thrives on, and Psalm plays an amazing Tracer. Now that we see Tassadar, after his recent buffs, he's a little bit more meta. Now, if we were to kick it back like 4 or 5 months ago, that would be a very reasonable first 2 picks. Now that Tassadar is buffed a little bit, and given that Xing C plays those heroes, and given you know what you're going to get from X, maybe that's something to consider here for Tempo Storm.
I like it, JR. Like, I think that's the tack the Tempo Storm needs to throw it on at this point. I don't think you can wait till second rotation either.
Yeah, they'd have to open with it, but that does leave them open to something like a variant along with the Uva, which gives a lot of targeted lockdown for Tracer if they're not careful.
Maybe you do need to wait till second, because there's so many good picks available. Genji, Anubarak. Maybe you open Genji Anub, and then you hope to get Tassadar Tracer at slot 3 and 4. I don't think you can give those two away, not with Uther. Imagine, Uther, Cocoon, Divine Shield, Dragonblade. Cannot.
Those are all good points, and I think we'll see. There's the Genji, and they go Tyrael, which, you know, we talked about that combination quite a bit. I think it's a pretty solid start here for both teams, but with Uther, I was going to say, are we going to see double support Ahri? This is exactly my thought process. They snap-locked it. They did this on Dragonshire just the other day.
They go back to basics. They start you off with something a bit confusing. You try to ban that out, and they're like, nope, we're completely comfortable in their basic stuff, double support with the Valor.
So what you're saying is eStar, master bamboozlers.
Master bamboozlers.
Yeah.
So what eStar has now, you have this very big map. You've got just this insanely strong tri-lane, Uther, Vala, Ariel. They can get a lot of structural damage early, get a good lead. I don't want to see Tempo Storm go for like a global composition. Normally, global gets punished by really strong early 3 to 4 laners. You can actually punish it by collapsing on it as 5, but it's so risky because it takes ages to get a foul stat all the way across the map to the top of the map again, if the gank fails.
Zeratul is banned out. Could be game-changing for either side. Tempo would just rather avoid it. And eStar ban out Illidan themselves. It's a clever move. They pretty much have no intention of picking it, and Tempo banning out Abathur may have been baiting eStar into thinking, oh, well, now we don't pick Illidan. And with a Tyrael on their side, it would have been very effective for Tempo Storm.
I like this so far. Nice burst healing. You've got the Divine Shield for the whole group from Tyrael. You've got 2 of the best assassins. Love the draft so far. Wonder how Tempo Storm will round it out. Maybe something that can stun or lock down.
I like that, because Genji should be played by Cattle and Greymane should be played by Cawthon, which means that you have Psalm there. And either of those players can fill either of those roles, right? But Psalm plays a lot of those tricky heroes. And I'm not going to say Valeera is an option here, but Valeera, Zeratul, Illidan, those are more his heroes. So curious how they're going to go. ETC,
hello.
There's your global right there. This is something that they've played historically. Stage dive is your global.
I like the idea of the global, but let's just count the stuns.
0.
1, technically, if they do judgment.
What
so
if you put,
it's still viable too.
What if you put Psalm on Genji and then you leave Cawthon on Zagara final to have like the global? She's really good on this map.
Agreed.
Yes.
Yeah, could happen.
The ETC thing, I don't know if you guys were there when I was talking about it when we were sitting in the lounge earlier. I was talking about ETC being something of a Genji counter when he comes in. It's kind of the old school. Last year it was Tracer, right? Whenever Tracer would come in, you'd find some type of CC, you'd follow it up, and then you'd blow them up. You know, and ETC is an easy stun at that point. So you have Uther, you have ETC.
Yeah.
Falstad, that is the Cawthon hero.
Yeah, there's that global.
Yeah.
It's some disengage as well for if ETC decides to go a little bit more aggressive. Overall, I like the draft from both teams, but this is a way better draft from Tempo Storm than last game.
The thing about the ETC pick is that it's no stranger to China. They're one of the few regions that were still actively playing him after the changes, so it's not a surprise there. But you think about Uther, Anubarak, ETC, that is stun lock heaven. And I really wonder who's going to be brave enough to dive under that, but you do have Sanctification, so...
Yeah. I mean, you in the previous game, Grubby, you had some pretty strong opinions about how it could play out. Are there any strong opinions how this one could, likewise?
Not as much.
Okay.
While in the previous game I was right that eStar won by a big shot, it wasn't how I thought.
Yes.
So there's a lot of surprises here. The playstyles are very different than what I'm used to seeing. I'm not quite sure. It worries me a little bit for Tempo Storm that they don't have something to lock down an opponent. They have so much damage behind them, but they don't have a stun. Holy Ground, not particularly good on this map besides boss control, so I'm not really sure how TS wants to swing this. And eStar has some of their favorite weapons in Vala Ariel.
Predictions?
I'm going to go with eStar because they looked sublime last game.
Okay.
I'm also going to lean towards eStar. They've gone a bit more standard, and I think the Chinese ETC is something that should be feared. It's been banned a couple times today. Now we get to see it played. Sorry, over the last 2 days.
Count me into the eStar hype train right now. I mean, they're undefeated. They've looked dominant in every single game. I don't think they're going to stop now.
All right, well, let's see how you guys think at home as well, as you've been voting in chat as to who you think is going to be victorious moving on down. And we're very much so.
Is that the highest we've had? Oh, no, we've had a 1%, I think.
Yeah, we had a 1%.
Yeah.
Imagine Tempo Storm satisfaction, seeing this back and proving everyone wrong. That's what they're fighting for here.
I like your positivity. The glass is half full, Grubby. I like that a lot.
A chance to impress.
All right, it's time now for game number 2 here. Can Tempo Storm bring it back, or will eStar bag themselves another 3 points? Let's head over to Trixo and Kaldor.
Tempo Storm not even hitting the double digits in the predictions here. It looked rough on the first one.
It did look rough, and the thing is it gets rougher over the next couple of days. Remember, they still have to face off against L5 and more in the next coming days. This is the first step over their next 3 major matchups that are very difficult. A tie for today would be wonderful for them. Tempo Storm here in the blue or on the left.
We have June on Rega, Kettle on Gamin this time with Sam on Genji, Cawthon on the Falstad, and Fury at that front line on Tyrion in the second game against eStar.
To the right, in the red, currently up 1-0. It's going to be eStar Gaming, SW on Uther, Tiger on Ariel, Zing C on Vala, X on Anubarak, and H on ETC.
Jingzi has played a terrifying Vala once again last game, and we've seen him play with exactly this setup to back him up on Dragonshire already. It's a big map, and of course, Tempo Storm, they are a team who has shown in the past that they can play the macro game. They like to play around their opponents. That's something, a lesson that Red Cannons actually learned in the first match against them, when I think in the entire game we saw 2 or 3 kills and a very dominant performance by Tempo Storm. It's something that they have to repeat right now, but eStar Gaming, they're known for their aggression, and they're going to look for these team fights.
It's a really good point. If you have a hard time catching Tempo Storm, they will out-macro you over time. They will safely and methodically break you down. eStar Gaming, though, is willing to go in for those hard engages and force those fights. And with an ETC being here, look for H to be one of the main contributors to those engages. So here he is at the bottom, dealing with the 3-man pressure that is occurring. eStar Gaming is actually rotating instead of pushing in the top themselves.
Yeah, at this point, we have also in the mid lane still the vision control of eStar. So they're trying to control the map, at least for now. I wanted to also highlight once again that at this point, eStar is actually 5-0 in maps in this tournament, whereas Tempo Storm is now 3-2. If they lose this map as well, they would be on a 3-3 score with a very rough standing in the group and would more or less have to take games off L5 and Team Dignitas. So a pretty tall order here for the rest of the tournament. Therefore, we're going to see them really put everything into this game right now, trying to at least take a map off the Chinese opponent.
See if they can pull it off. The rotation has finally finished up for eStar Gaming as they keep moving in from the bottom and the middle. Falstad in the middle could be in trouble. Cawthon instantly will get away from that fight. But here we are, the nukes deploying the next 15 seconds. And I'm interested to see what Tempo Storm does. Speaking with Cattle, he mentioned he used to not like this battleground at all. Yeah. It was something they did not enjoy. But Tempo Storm has found a spark to this battleground, and now it's one of their favorites, they mentioned. In fact, they're showing it as they keep coming back to it.
Exactly. We've been talking to them a bit earlier, and Cattle has mentioned that when the map was first released, he didn't really enjoy playing it a lot, but that since then it has changed. For now, though, they are falling a bit behind when it comes to the warheads here, but SW on his Uther is all of a sudden in trouble, and Nubarak attempting to help out. Uther still on the move back, but Psalm is already looking for a potential kill. The cooldown on the heal comes off just in time, though. But Uther is a bit too greedy here.
A little too greedy, trying to bring back the 2014 memes of Uther never dies, but he falls there. June, however, may be overstepping. No, he will be able to get away. Has a nuke available, but meanwhile, eStar Gaming in the top lane was pushing in.
Yeah, it was actually a really interesting moment that we had there. Uther with the eyes on the prize, but not saving himself, trying to get the counter kill. Also, when we're talking about Genji, as the second nuke is now being placed, I want to quickly highlight that this time, we don't see the ping-pong build that was played in the last game. The Agile Dismount on level 1 has been chosen, and we see the Shuriken Mastery now on level 4. So trying to be a bit more mobile, especially with the level 1 talent on such a big battleground.
Agile Dismount, yeah, especially on this battleground, as mentioned, it's usually on the smaller battlegrounds, like Tuma, Spider Queen, even Braxis to a point. Yeah. They're trying to jump in and get those kills, especially on those solo laners. But Genji here on this battleground is most likely going to be mounting up no matter what on a rotation, so why not pick that up and go in for a hard engage?
Exactly, especially since we have so much debris that you can tactically also use to put yourself into a good position during these fights. For now, also when we're looking at the builds, we see nothing new from Jingzi. He really likes to use the hybrid build with Vala going on level 1 for the hot pursuit. And he's actually one of the Vala players that probably has, I would say, the best mechanics. His Vala is outstanding, and the value that he gets out of the level 1 talent is something we could witness in the last game in particular, but also before that.
Yeah, probably the only one that I can think of from EU that I was equally impressed with the mechanics was probably Darkmonk. Whenever we saw him a lot, yeah, Xingzi in this tournament right now has been just absolutely destroying. So keep an eye on him as he keeps up with that. Now, Tempo Storm actually went in for an aggressive engage a bit earlier. eStar sniffed it out. But once you go in for those aggressive engages, the team is going to start realizing that you're disappearing from the minimap, and we're going to see constantly eStar Gaming keeping up with the rotations. They're moving between the middle, controlling watchtowers. They don't want anything to go under the radar as Tempo Storm keeps up with this.
And talking about Tempo Storm, another hero that we have to highlight quickly here is Cattle, who's currently on Gamin, going for a bit of a hybrid build. Not committing full to the cocktail, but picking up the Drought Overflow on level 4 still, when on level 7 the Quicksilver Bullets here. And also when we're looking at a hero like Falstad, who's currently here in the mid lane, Boomerang now picked on level 7, so it's really a lot about the wave clear for Cawthon as well. This is going to become a big thing, especially towards the end of the game. But up at the top, we are actually seeing potentially... I don't think that X is really going to go for it. He's very much alone against three.
He just goes on in. Charges forward. We have Oriel and Uther on the way, but he's just going to fall victim. It's too far of a distance to rotate across, and he's dead.
Yeah, that's usually the moment when I report my Hero League allies for feeding.
×9, of course.
I'm not 100% certain what the thought process here was. If you looked at the minimap, everybody else was so far away, and he finds himself into in a 1 versus 3 situation that he knows about. He sees them. It's not that one of them was hidden and he thinks, okay, against 2 I can stall until the rest of the team is there. So that was an interesting decision, to say the least.
Very optimistic, I think, is the word for that. And Tempo Storm will take that kill, take that boss, and they'll take a major lead.
Yeah, you could argue he saw an opportunity for greatness. Yeah.
And then it became flat out not so much. So 10 about to hit here for Tempo Storm, and this is big news for them. They can set up for the next boss. They have 3 nukes on them right now. That big play really kind of snowballed for them. I was actually kind of curious as to why eStar Gaming didn't sniff that out earlier. In the bottom left corner, Tempo Storm grabbed the Hellbats, pushed in, and then invaded.
Yeah.
That kind of indicates to us that whenever they grab mercenary camps, they're going to move in for an aggressive play. And they grabbed the Mercs on the left and then went for that boss without being contested for 30 seconds, which was a pretty crazy heads-up play from them. And eStar Gaming definitely taking the hits here as a boss will be pushing in the bottom.
Overall, we have Tempo Storm really trying to dominate the map into those two bosses. They had the one at the top, they're moving to the one here at the bottom of the map. And with the fort already gone, this one is moving towards the keep.
4 nukes, man.
That's a lot of pressure against that keep. They can simply go in with a boss, with the nukes, and I would say that eStar has to think about really trying to stop them before they reach that point. ETC can, of course, stage dive in, but I'm really curious to see which ground they're going to use to force that fight, because fighting on the boss with 4 nukes, and here we start already, is going to be rough.
Yeah, Tempo Storm has made it too far already here. Here comes the stage dive. They'll go in for the engage. The main goal is to make sure they don't use nukes here. We're going to have the Aegis pop out as Power Slide does get hit here. H able to retreat, especially with the Divine Shield coming out. And we're going to have Strafe actually get a kill on Genji.
Yeah, the Ancestral not hitting, and that was perfect by eStar. And then it comes back to what I just said. They need to make sure that they take the fight before Tempo Storm takes position at the keep, or all that the blue team has to do is drop the nukes, and with the help of the boss, they will get the fort. Cawthon, good escape so far, but he might still die. He should actually. But overall, they're still putting some pressure on the key, but it's just not enough. He tries to use the nuke, but that is a bit of a lost opportunity for Tempo Storm.
Yeah, third guy buys 3 seconds, but not enough. As Falstad falls for the next 15 seconds, he will not be on the field. And the nukes, one now available for eStar Gaming.
Just to highlight it again, Tempo Storm just attacked the bottom keep with a boss and 4 nukes, and eStar was able to move behind the boss, force a fight there. You could see that Falstad with the Gust was attempting to just push them back so they could start the nuke process again, but it didn't work out. So the Chinese here with a fantastic defense against, arguably, that should have been the first keep of the game.
Yeah, a moment for even an aggressive play, too. You can start moving in on boss if you got a couple of kills there, and maybe even moving for the core. So Tempo Storm not really being able to pull off what we thought they would be able to do. So now eStar is answering back pretty well now. They're starting to get control of the map here in the middle, opening up themselves. They have the top 4 already taken out, and they also have the ETC, who will have stage dive in about 70 seconds. So if this 4 squad right here makes sure not to get caught out by a mighty Gust, there's not really a major way for Tempo Storm to come in for an engage.
What I like about Tempo Storm, Falstad actually flying in for the Gust. Great Gust here in the backline. They're going in and immediately the Sanctifications on the ground as we're having nukes popping off, and also still the strafe being used here. Great fights thus far. Cocoon is out, and it might be a Nubarak who dies first.
eStar holds there somehow, some way. They continue to keep up the attacks, and Xing Si is turning around for the auto attack. Saw him in the back right corner, maybe in trouble, waiting for his cooldowns to come up, but nobody on eStar Gaming died. That was probably one of the best ways for Tempo Storm to get back into this game after that moment in the bottom right corner, and yet they don't pull anything out.
I can't believe that nobody died in this fight.
That was insane.
It was a crazy good Gust, and then a Sanctification to follow it up, but somehow eStar survives in this. That was a pretty interesting teamfight that we saw there. Very hectic at times, but Nubarak in particular still able to get out with the rest of the team. We have 13 talents on the side of eStar, and Tempo Storm will hit that next talent level in just a few seconds as well. I kind of like that also Falstad is currently trying to really put more and more pressure onto that bot lane, thanks to the global mobility that he has. Taking this much damage earlier on the keep on the side of eStar is of course putting the pressure onto the Chinese team, but they are countering that now with a 4-man and the bot lane, trying to push the lane out and picking up some extra experience by destroying another fort.
Yeah, I wanted to echo your thoughts on those forts being taken down. Now any boss that is picked up by eStar Gaming becomes much more effective because they can push into the keep both in the top lane and the bottom lane, where Tempo Storm has always set up a win condition in the bottom lane, pushing the keep. In the top lane, if a boss is taken, that's a fort. eStar Gaming has a defensible position. So right now, eStar, in terms of map control, in a much better position. 2 nukes will be used in the top to burn down the fort over here and start tying up the experience here for Tempo Storm.
Big face melt focus also on the side of ETC, who on level 13 now picked up the mic check. We have still that hyper carry Vala up at the top lane here. And what I like about Tempo Storm in particular is that they really focus on the mercenary. They concentrate on the camps in this game. They have now up at the top lane taken another one that starts to push in. And of course proxies a few of the waves, which forces a Nubarak to deal with Tempo Storm's waves, or they would lose the fort here eventually. Falstad, on the other hand, might now be in a bit of trouble since ETC moves in, and he's not the only one.
Cawthon actually flew over a minion there, so eStar Gaming saw that immediately happen, and they all just rotated towards those Hellbats. As you really make sure that they didn't get taken away. And I like how they didn't start the boss in the top lane, which is what Tempo Storm thought. eStar Gaming took the patience here to make sure the bottom boss was not grabbed by the opposing team. If they had to, they could have used ETC to come in for the engage.
It was also a really cool escape here from Foresight. I looked for a moment that if ETC is able to slide in, that he would fall there, but he is able to move out. Talking about Foresight, by the way, we have him currently on 20 stacks on the season marksman. And of course, with the auto attack focus that we see on level 4 and 13 with the hammer gains and also the giant killer, this is going to start pressuring the front line of eStar even more. Sam with a good positioning here at the boss as the rest of his team is at the bot lane. So they're attempting to simply trade bosses. Sam should not be able to make anything happen, and Gamin is not moving to the top. They're not looking to contest. They know that this boss is very likely going to give them the keep at the bot lane, so they are willing to take the trade.
H doing the same here and just trying to distract and maybe get someone to get a little too much attention away, but Tempo Storm is not biting, and they will grab the boss in the bottom here before both teams hit level 16. H is being grabbed upon. Will be able to power slide away. He has stage dive and needs to retreat. The mighty gust to interrupt. Nicely done here from Coffin, and that's going to be Cattle going in for looking the kill. There's a hammering, and there it is.
That was really well done. Waiting for the stage dive, immediately popping the gust and interrupting. So now the keep is going to be attacked. Boss at the top lane, of course, still a concern. They need to be careful about it. eStar has one thing going for them now that they find themselves in the 4 versus 5, and it's the level 16 that they're going to hit any second.
Yeah, they're about to hit it, but so will Tempo Storm. They're only about a half level away, a couple more waves, and they'll be good to go. We're going to have Uther dealing with Psalm here on the left side, delaying that nuke for a longer time. Now, do note, eStar Gaming has had the boss pushing in the top lane the entire time here. Finally, Gamin will move over to defend it, while XingC himself is defending the bottom boss that was pushing in. So both teams have keeps exposed. Did Genji just get killed by an Uther?
Yeah. That's an A-Lul moment right there. That should not happen.
Holy shock OP. I've been telling you for years.
Sam messing up here a bit. Him dying is a big issue for them right now. So that is a problem for 20 more seconds. Defense at the bot lane, by the way, saved the keep. This is a rough kill here. Uther must feel quite good about himself. Also wanted to highlight a few talent choices that we had on 16 coming in. We have, first of all, the Frost Shot for Vala. That's going to give a lot of control in these team fights to eStar. We're also seeing the Will of Heaven taken, so the extra attack speed. XingC is just going to pop off with this in the team fights. And we have the Afterburner taken for Cawthon. So for him, it's really currently about repositioning himself in those team fights, trying to also get a good angle potentially for Mighty Gust.
Yeah, the Afterburner going to be also for chasing down that ETC and then a new bracket, those auto attacks in. Once you start to break him down to half health, Cawthon's going to be very effective at killing tanks. Now, multiple nukes in the top right corner. We'll get that keep nice and low on health there for potential kill there. Oh, that was 3 nukes there, so that's going to be an actual keep poked off while in the bottom lane. A push occurring for eStar Gaming. They only have 1 nuke, though.
I feel like this is one of the things that we have to highlight with Tempo Storm, that they really play well around the objective. They had a lot of nukes before, but they were not able to deliver, but now they take the first keep, and eStar is looking for the trade. They went to the bot lane. I don't think that Tempo can really threaten core here. H, on the other hand, he needs to move back first. Keep is going to fall. He's trying to delay. Rest of the team comes in. Tempo needs to retreat. They cannot take this fight.
They're actually going for the retreat, but look at this. Vala and Ariel on the core, and eStar Gaming will try to keep everyone back at bay in the back right corner. Here comes the stage dive as well. They're going straight for it. They're burning it down. Just now getting through the armor. Finally, one member will be able to come home, and Psalm will be able to slow it down overall, especially with Cawthon flying in.
Like, I'm still surprised that ETC stage dived in.
I thought he was going to stage dive on the opposing team and make it harder for them to back. That way Vala could have more time.
Yeah, like I would have liked that a bit more. Oh, the Chinese push meta is once again coming to play.
It's scary.
I mean, they backed out the core the last time with Illidan, and that worked really well, but that was also thanks to the help of catapults that we had. So in this particular setup, ETC once again being a little bit optimistic here. They take the camp away, though. And I must say, this game is actually super interesting right now. When we have, again, the stun, the Ancestral, the Sanctus on the ground. They're trying to turn it around. The Holy Ground in the backline, preventing eStar from moving out of your Divine Shield is already in, and Vala is just completely going bonkers, taking down Rhaegar and not stopping there.
The Strafe murdering multiple people, and Cattle himself, low too, will be running away, but eStar's SW may have another kill with Uther. Goes in for the auto attack, and we'll finish it with the help of XingC. Big Anubrak Cocoon, there's an Impale, and 4 people are down. Tempo Storm has 1 lone Tyrael here for defense, and it won't be enough.
Tempo Storm has only Tyrael left. The last fight, look at XingC here. He's laughing. He probably didn't expect this to go this well. Tempo Storm saw an opportunity, thought they could get the team fight and could win it, carry it home, but the opposite happens. eStar Gaming turns it around and they deliver with a 2-0 victory against the North American team here, taking the lead, and they are currently 6-0 in the group.
Yeah, look at that holy ground at the end there from Fury. Just wasn't quite on point, allowed for ETC to stay there, and that became an engage that really worked out in the favor of eStar, bringing up the damage to focus on Rhaegar, and then once that final kill occurred, Strafe, there was no interruption, and he just killed multiple members.
eStar just playing a fantastic game here once again, but Tempo Storm looked much better in the second game than they did in the first one. They definitely had a few opportunities. And I also like how they, I said it before, how they played around the objective. Sniping the keep at the top lane worked well for them. In the end, it was a trade since eStar was able to get the one at the bot lane. But there were moments where eStar could maybe have made a bit of an upset happen here and take that oh so important game, but now it's a bit of a rough standing for them in the group.
Yeah, it really comes down to the last 30 seconds of that game. eStar just getting the advantage of that team fight and walking forward. So eStar continues to dominate, and we want to hear from our analyst at the desk.
Yes, we do, Trixler. Thank you very much. 2-0 for eStar moving forwards, and as they mentioned, topping the group currently here. So overall, that was an interesting match. Very, very back and forth. A lot of what looked like attempts from Tempo Storm to get very aggressive on some of those lanes, but unfortunately it didn't work out.
Yeah, I think a lot of things worked out for Tempo Storm. I think they took a really good early lead.
Yeah.
The draft looked good, a lot of things looked good, but I gotta be honest, I think from both sides there were a lot of mistakes. I don't think that was close to a perfect game from either team.
Yeah.
Tempo Storm didn't manage to get the bottom keep despite having 2 bosses on it and 7 nukes, and I think something went wrong there. I saw a lot of miscommunication from Tempo Storm side, also from eStar side. They weren't sure if they wanted to end at the end, but a lot of mistakes. In the end, though, deserved victory for eStar.
Yeah, the result is a result despite the scrappiness of the game here and there.
Yeah, like Grubby said, there were a couple weirdities that happened in that game from both sides. The bot fight especially, I don't know if that's what you brought in the replay yet.
I don't have that one, but the 4 nukes and a boss.
That was pretty spectacular. But yeah, there was a lot of situations, especially like the one I have in my mind where Falstad didn't burn his nuke when he was off on his own. Just little misplays from both teams, but eStar still looking strong with still L5 to play though.
Well, Warhead is always a map of fireworks. Jay, how do you have any of those for us, or what do you have?
I think we might have that last fight. It looks like we're moving into it, so sure, why not? All right, so Paul's all ready because the entire time June was down here. The rest of Tempo Storm, if you look at the minimap, we've got them all over here at the bottom. But the thing is that June basically was containing vision on this. So if Fury comes in, gets the Eldruins over. Unfortunately, it doesn't zone out in entirety, and that's kind of the biggest problem there. So this all of a sudden forces a team fight. We'll move it forward, right? So Tiger, he's just kind of waiting in the bushes, looking for his opportunity. Now, H is just isolating Fury here. The power slide over, good cleanse on the side of June, but the body blocking potential that you see instantly. Now, pause it real quick, because what happened there, if we roll it back just a second, the body blocking between SW and H just contain Tyrael. So they know that they just have to wait out the sanctification. Now they've got their eyes on June. You can't self-ancestral, so he ancestral there. Now as we move forward, we're going to see Xingxi and company come in. They get the stun directly onto him, and that is going to be a deleted June here in just a second. He passes through the sanctification that's just barely there. The rest of everybody comes down. It's a little bit too late, but the healing from Ariel and the the divine shield is locking everybody in. And Xingxi, the man, the myth, the legend at this point, continues to make plays, gets the kill, re-engages. This is just a lot to cover. This kind of happened at the end, trying to run out here to bring this to you guys, but detainment strikes, the damage, the holy grounds, everything just kind of added up there in favor of eStar, and it all kind of started with that holy ground that didn't quite capture, and just I think they felt the need to defend that when I think they probably could have given that up.
Oh, with almost 0 stuns, that strafe is going to be doing a lot of damage from Xingxi. And we are joined by Xingxi for the 3rd time here at the tournament. Hello, as well as our lovely translator. So, to start things off, I want to know, Xingxi, how did you feel about going up against Tempo Storm, and what did they expect from Tempo Storm?
首先呢，想问一下，那你打 Tempo Storm 之前的感觉是怎样的？而且你觉得你们的机会能打赢他们，就打他们之前，你觉得是怎样的？
就不能小看他们，就是那种感觉，就是打哪支队伍都不能小看嘛。然后我觉得我们打哪支队伍都只有50%的胜算能赢对面，就是看状态发挥好不好。
Before going to Tempo Storm, we were very careful not to underestimate the opponent. I think every game that we play against any team, we cannot underestimate them. And I feel like the mindset before every game, regardless of team, is that we have only a 50% chance of winning them. So we have to do our best every game.
Speaking of expectations, what were your expectations coming into this tournament after previous results at the last few?
那你进来这个比赛，你们的目标是什么呢？
当然是想拿冠军，但是尽力就好。
My expectation is to get the champion title, but of course I will do my best.
Okay, so I'm quickly becoming a huge fan of all of the drafts that you're using. Do you have more crazy drafts to come, or is this something that you've used a few now? Maybe we've seen it all.
他看了你们打了这么多场，过后呢，觉得他是一个很大你们的粉丝，因为你们用的 BP 都很有趣。那你们有没有其他多一点的有趣战术会透露的？
我们选人现在都是觉得哪个行就上哪个，就根据对面选的人，让我们看到人，就不管他是什么英雄，只要合理就能打，就打不打得出效果就看个人了。
The way we draft is we look at the opponents and the map, and we're very adaptable. So we like to, vary our heroes according to the opponent's draft. So it will depend on our individual performance.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Xingxi.